Today we're going to test out the Televes DATBOSS Mix Outdoor TV Antenna. This one includes low VHF elements. Here it is in the box, all neatly packed up. I will assemble it and then try it out. Here's the fully assembled antenna. It's about 4 feet long, and with these folded dipole low VHF elements, it's about 6 feet wide. There are 3 active sets of elements on this antenna. These U-shaped ones here are the UHF elements, which receive channels 14 through 36. These elements here are for the Hi-VHF channels 7 through 13, and then the long folded dipoles are for low VHF channels 2 through 6. The DATBOSS antenna is sold as either a UHF only antenna, where it only has these elements for UHF, or as a mix where it also includes the high VHF elements. This particular model included the low VHF folded dipoles, and a few extra parts that come along with this particular model are these yellow brackets here that bolt to either side of the main boom, and on the underside there is a bar that ties the 2 folded dipoles together, and then ultimately they connect to the other active elements with these phasing lines here that ties the low VHF elements together with the high VHF and UHF active elements. The build quality of this antenna is very good. It's made of mostly aluminum, and the plastic parts that are included are made of a high impact ABS plastic that should last for years to come in the elements. One feature I really like about the build is that all of the front directors and rear reflectors are all installed right through boxed pieces of aluminum, which is much more sturdy than having them riveted or screwed or fastened to the surface with a plastic clip. This antenna definitely has some weight to it. It has a good, strong, sturdy feel, and once you get it up on the mast, it certainly has a pronounced physical presence. I really like the look of it. It's very futuristic looking. The integrated 75 ohm coax connector is tucked up underneath on the underside of the antenna, which should keep it protected from the weather. And another plus about this is you don't have to worry about any transformer wires dangling down and possibly breaking. There's a preamp built inside the antenna, and it comes with a power supply, and now I'll show you how that gets set up. Let's take a look at the power supply and preamp detail for this antenna. This is the power supply that gets installed inside the building. It's powered by a 120 volt AC cord. There's a green light here to show the power is on. This coax cable here actually runs back outside of the TV antenna. So this carries the TV signal into the building, but it also has the job of carrying voltage back out to the antenna to power the preamp that's inside the antenna. And these 2 coax cables here allow you to connect signals to 2 separate TVs or digital converter boxes. So in reality, this kind of doubles like a mini distribution amplifier, which is really great. That means each TV is getting an amplified signal as opposed to splitting the signal after the fact. And every time you split the signal up with a passive splitter, you end up weakening the signal more and more. This way, each TV is getting a nice strong signal. So if you have 2 TVs, then this is really the ideal setup. The preamp and power supply on this DATBOSS Mix antenna works in 2 modes, either active mode or passive mode. And in active mode, that means that the power supply is powered. That's why the green light is on. And in this mode, the amplifier will automatically adjust the output level of the TV signal. Basically, it optimizes the TV signal's level, make sure it's not too high, not too low, and this prevents overloading or over-amplification of the TV signal, which can sometimes lead to channel loss. In passive mode, when there is no power running to the power supply, I just unplugged it, you can see the light went off, the TV signal will still pass through to your televisions. Now, this is a good thing because on a lot of other antennas that include a power supply, the preamp will not work unless the power supply is connected. And if there is no power running to the preamp, the antenna will not pass the TV signal through to your televisions. Basically, it's useless. So this is an excellent feature to have, and at least gives you options. If the power supply were to ever fail, or you happen to live in a reception area where amplification of your TV signal really isn't necessary, this gives you much more flexibility in your setup. And you can see I've got the antenna bolted to a mast here. There's a handy little 10mm wrench that is included with this antenna, and this really helps in the assembly process, and also is the right size wrench for the mast clamp. And now we'll get this mast stood up, and this antenna will be 17 feet off the ground, pointed in the direction of my local broadcast towers, and now we can test it out. I tested this antenna both with and without the power supply connected to the built-in preamp. Then I took signal strength measurements on the 3 over-the-air TV channels available in my area, all of which broadcast on the VHF band. RF channels 2 and 4 on the low VHF band, and RF channel 9 on the high VHF band. In the first test, I had the power supply connected, and RF channel 2 had a signal strength anywhere from 69 to 81%. RF channel 4 had a signal strength anywhere from 64 to 73%, and RF channel 9 had a signal strength between 64 and 84%. Now for my second round of tests, I bypassed the preamp altogether and connected the coaxial cable directly from my antenna to my digital converter box, and I did notice some difference. RF channel 2 had a signal strength between 72 and 81%. RF channel 4 had a signal strength between 69 and 75%. And RF channel 9 had a signal strength between 80 and 88%. One thing I noticed from these two tests was a slight difference in the range of signal fluctuation from 9 to 20% with the preamp powered, compared to 6 to 9% fluctuation with the preamp bypassed altogether. And I think this shows us that the preamp and power supply from Televes introduces a minimal amount of noise into the system, unlike cheaper antenna models with really noisy preamps that just kill the signal. One thing I will add, but unfortunately can't demonstrate due to the fact that I live in a VHF only reception area, is that the DATBOSS mix is a proven winner on the UHF TV band, largely owing to this array of front directors on the antenna. Overall, the DATBOSS mix antenna from Televes with the low VHF element kit would be an excellent all-around performer for full band TV reception in cities, suburban areas, and some outlying rural areas.